You were silent, but what is about to happen will shock everyone around you. They believe that your journey was over, that you were defeated, and that you would never return. But what they don't know is that their comeback will be epic, something they could never imagine. The silence you were in was not a sign of defeat, it was preparation for the greatest comeback they had ever seen. Now, the impact of this return will rock their world in ways none of them expected. His return will not be discreet, it will be an explosion. They are about to see something that will change everything. You were underestimated and forgotten, but what they don't realize is that the time you spent in silence was the very thing that built your epic comeback. Every battle you faced in secret, every pain you overcame in silence, was preparing you for this moment. And now, this comeback is about to shake the world of everyone who knows you. They laughed at their fall, but what they don't know is that this fall was the beginning of a rise so powerful that no one will be able to ignore it. Now, the impact of your return will be devastating, and they will have no choice but to watch and recognize the size of your strength. This soon-to-be comeback isn't just an answer, it's an epic twist. They believed they had beaten you, that your light had gone out. But what they don't know is that the strength built up inside you is about to crumble on everyone who underestimated you. The impact of this comeback will be felt by everyone, and they will be perplexed by the size of his transformation. You didn't just come back, you came back stronger, more determined, and more relentless. The shock will be inevitable, and they will have no choice but to face this new reality. You are no longer the same person. The silence they mistook for weakness was actually a strategy. Every moment of pain, every blow that knocked you to the ground, was part of a strengthening process. Now, their comeback is about to explode, and the shock will be incomparable. They thought they had left you behind, but what they didn't know is that you were preparing for a rise so big that it will change the game once and for all. The impact will be devastating for those who did not believe in his return. This comeback is not a simple recovery, it is a revolution. They will never see you the same way again. Now, you are ready. The world around you is about to be shaken by your return. Every person who ignored you, who doubted your abilities, will now have to face the fact that you exceeded all expectations. The shock will be so great that they won't know how to react. You are back, not just to claim what was yours, but to take everything you were once told you would never achieve. This return will redefine everything, and those who once laughed at his downfall will now watch in shock as he triumphs. The impact of their comeback will be impossible to ignore. You know what it's like to be knocked down, to have your hopes crushed, and to hear people around you comment that you won't be able to get back up. They were difficult days, moments when frustrations and defeats seemed to be sinking you deeper and deeper. But what no one knew was that you were, silently, starting to get up. While they judged you as defeated, every small gesture of resistance you made was a part of the bigger plan. What seemed like an irreparable fall was, in fact, a strategic retreat, a necessary time to prepare. Now, you're about to come back stronger than you ever imagined, and the impact of it will leave everyone stunned. The people who watched you from afar, believing you were lost, didn't understand what was happening inside you. Every difficulty you faced, whether at work, in relationships, or in your own emotions, was seen as the end point of your journey. But what they didn't see was the transformation that took place in silence. As disappointments piled up and doubts seemed to consume you, you used this time to strengthen every piece of yourself. What they thought was weakness was actually the process of forging a more powerful version of you. Now, they will watch in disbelief as the force was being built. No one knows how many nights you spent awake, dealing with your own frustrations and uncertainties. They didn't see the weight of your decisions, or how each small defeat seemed to push you further away from your dreams. But deep down, you were learning to use this pain to your advantage. While the world ran its course, thinking you were lost, you were silently gathering strength. Now, your return will be a shock, because everyone who thought you incapable of moving forward will see that your strength has not only returned, but has surpassed everything they believed possible. You've been through times when there seemed to be no hope left. People looked at you and saw someone who had given up, someone who could no longer recover. But what no one realized was that, in this time of silence, you were rebuilding yourself in secret. Every obstacle, every rejection, and every defeat was the ground you used to grow stronger. Now, everyone who underestimated you is about to see something they never expected. You are coming back more resilient than ever, and the impact of that will be felt by everyone who doubted. What they didn't realize is that your falls didn't define you, they shaped you. The losses and failures that so many considered their end became part of the invisible strategy that prepared you for this moment. While they went on with their lives, thinking you had given up, you were being reborn inside, using each pain as a step towards your true transformation. Now, the impact of this return will leave everyone speechless. They laughed at your fall, but now they will watch in surprise at the strength you have accumulated. The return will be epic, and no one is prepared for the shock that is about to happen. You fought battles that no one saw, faced inner demons that seemed impossible to overcome. While the people around you only saw your outside, thinking that everything was lost, they had no idea what was going on inside you. The doubts, the fear of not being good enough, the weight of bad decisions, these were the real battles. But, in the midst of this chaos, you didn't give up. You kept fighting, day after day, and now it's clear that these internal struggles were the battlefield where you grew stronger. What they thought was weakness was actually the forging of their true strength. No one knows how difficult it was for you to face your own fears. Those moments when all you wanted to do was give up, when it felt like the world was against you. The pressure of unfulfilled expectations and the weight of disappointments have brought you down many times. But in the silence, you resisted. You got up and began to face these ghosts of the past one by one. Every small internal victory, every decision to move forward, even when the tiredness seemed unbearable, was a blow that prepared you for what is to come. Now, the people who discredited you have no idea of the strength that is about to be revealed. You faced rejection and abandonment like no one else could. There were times when those you loved turned their backs on you, and loneliness seemed to be your only company. The words of disdain and the attitudes of contempt were like daggers stuck in your soul, but instead of giving up, you used each of those wounds as fuel. In the silence of your pain, you began to heal, you began to rise, even if no one was watching. And now, the world will see what was achieved in that invisible battle, where you won, not others, but yourself. They saw you fall, but they didn't realize that you were preparing to get up in a way that no one expected. The abandonment and indifference of others, which once hurt you, have now been transformed into an unbreakable force. You faced contempt, you faced doubts, and with each blow that life dealt you, you became stronger. These internal battles, invisible to the eyes of others, were the battlefield where you truly found yourself. Now, they will see that you not only survived, but became someone they could never imagine. Every time you were underestimated, every time someone said you weren't capable, those words registered in your mind. But instead of letting it destroy you, you turned those words into stepping stones. Every criticism, every look of disapproval, you used as an impetus to continue. They didn't know that while they were talking behind your back, you were silently preparing yourself. Now, the impact will be inevitable, because these internal battles have been fought and won. Your comeback will be so powerful that everyone who underestimated you will have to recognize the strength you have built. His comeback didn't start with a big moment. It was in the small steps, in the daily decisions to get out of bed when the desire to give up was greater. That's when you started putting one foot in front of the other, even if no one was watching. With each small victory, you regained a part of yourself that had been lost. What they don't see is that while you were at rock bottom, you began to silently build your way back. Now, these small accumulated victories are about to collapse like an avalanche, and no one is prepared for the impact that is to come. You're coming back, and the impact of that has already started to be felt. That disdainful smile they had when they saw you fallen is no longer there. Now, they are noticing that something is changing in you. The way you face challenges, the confidence in each action, is starting to attract attention. Every small step forward, whether at work, in your relationships, or in your own personal growth, is a sign that payback is happening. They can't understand how you managed to turn the tide, but they are starting to feel like they underestimated your strength. The impact is just beginning. The strength you have accumulated in silence is about to explode. No one noticed the small achievements you had been accumulating, the battles you were winning day after day, while everyone was busy ignoring you. Now, these victories begin to appear, and the shock is inevitable. They thought they knew you, that they knew what you were capable of. But now, every step you take is a surprise. Your every move is a confirmation that the one who was once discredited has now become someone who cannot be ignored. The comeback is coming true, and the impact will be devastating. They weren't ready for the size of their turn. To them, you were just a memory of someone who couldn't overcome their own challenges. But now, your every victory is proof that you not only survived, but exceeded all expectations. What once seemed impossible is now happening before their eyes. What they thought would be a small recovery has turned into an overwhelming comeback. Now, every person around you is realizing that there is no longer any way to ignore you. You're back, stronger than ever, and it's shocking everyone. Before we continue, if you have always felt different, have a special sensitivity, or are drawn to greater missions, our ebook is a valuable resource for you. He offers practical insights for recognizing your true mission as a chosen one and overcoming challenges of misunderstanding and isolation. When you purchase the ebook, you also receive exclusive and immediate access to our Discord community, a space where you can share your experiences, connect with others who understand what you are going through, and find genuine support in a supportive environment. Check out the first comment pinned here on the video. The impact of his return is starting to reverberate. The people around you, who once saw you as powerless, are now being forced to reconsider their opinions. They can no longer deny the evidence. You are more resilient, more determined, and your every action confirms that the worst is behind you. The small victories you have accumulated without anyone noticing are now becoming visible. You didn't just come back, you came back to dominate. With each new achievement, the shock becomes more evident, and they finally realize that they underestimated the size of their strength. They never understood how much you suffered in silence. Each day, as they went about their lives, you were fighting internal battles that no one could see. Now your silent success is speaking for you. Your every achievement is a response to those who doubted, but the most powerful thing about this is that you don't have to say anything. Your silence has become your greatest revenge, because the impact of your victories is so great that it speaks louder than any words could. They are feeling the shock because they never imagined you could make it this far. You don't need to confront anyone. What you did was let your actions speak for themselves. The success you have built, the achievements that once seemed impossible, are now before everyone's eyes. They who once underestimated you, who laughed at your falls, now have to watch in silence your triumph. This is the silent revenge of the soul, the most powerful of all. There is no need to shout, to prove something to others. Your victories do that for you. They are shocked because they never thought you would be able to turn things around like this. The shock is profound, because they thought they knew you. They thought they knew how far you could go, but what they never saw was the strength you built internally. Now, that strength is being revealed in every decision, in every move you make. The people around you are realizing that they underestimated you absurdly, and it leaves them speechless. Revenge was never about proving something to them, but about continuing your path and letting the impact of your achievements speak for itself. They will have to accept this new reality, because you are far beyond what they ever expected. The impact of their return was more than they could have imagined. Every success, every achievement, is a silent reminder that they were wrong to underestimate you. Their shock comes not just from your success, but from the fact that you did it without needing validation. You didn't need to shout your victories to the world, your achievements were enough. Now those who laughed, who doubted, are watching its growth with a mixture of amazement and regret. This is the revenge of the soul, letting silent success reverberate louder than any words. They laughed at your fall, But what they never understood was that, in that silence, you were preparing for something much bigger. Now, they have no choice but to watch his triumph. The shock is even greater because they didn't expect you to achieve so much. The silent revenge of the soul is that while they were talking, you were doing. While they were judging you, you were building. Now the payback is before them, and they can't understand how you managed to get this far. But the truth is, you didn't do it to impress, you did it because you knew you could. They always believed that they knew you well, that they knew exactly how far you could go. But what they didn't foresee was his transformation. The impact of their return is forcing each of them to question what they thought they knew. The beliefs they had about you, the limited expectations, are crumbling one by one. What they saw as weakness has now turned into strength. Those who thought you were doomed to fail are realizing how much they underestimated you. And now, every step you take serves as a silent blow, shattering all the certainties they had about you. The people who underestimated you are having to accept a new reality. They thought their opinions of you were correct, that they knew you in depth. But now they are perplexed by the extent of their evolution. You broke their beliefs about what you were capable of. The impact of this is immense, because they never imagined you could transform so profoundly. Now your every move leaves them disconcerted because their old beliefs simply no longer hold. They need to accept that they misjudged you, and it haunts them. The force of your return was so great that it broke the invisible barriers that were imposed on you. They always tried to place you within a limit, to believe they knew how far you could go. But the impact of your return was devastating, because you went far beyond what anyone expected. Now, the barriers they placed around you have been destroyed, and they are forced to recognize that their beliefs about you were completely wrong. What once felt like an unshakable certainty about who you were now lies in ruins. You have completely changed the game. Every achievement of yours was a blow to the certainties that others had about you. They always saw you in a limited way, unable to exceed the expectations they imposed. But now, the impact of his return is impossible to ignore. Those people who believed you would never rise again are watching, mouths agape, as you not only come back, but dominate. The beliefs they have built about you are being destroyed with your every victory. Now, they are forced to see you for who you really are, a person who has gone far beyond what anyone ever imagined. You didn't have to scream to prove them wrong. The impact of your actions broke all the beliefs that limited you. The silence of your growth and the power of your return were enough to shatter every expectation they had of you. Now, everyone who underestimated you is having to deal with a new reality. You have gone beyond all the limitations they imposed. The shock is inevitable, because they never imagined you could reach this level. Now, their beliefs are in tatters, and you are in a position no one predicted. Now, the world that ignored you is forced to recognize you. Those who previously looked down on you, who judged you as incapable of overcoming your own challenges, can no longer take their eyes off the impact you are making. Your rise is so evident that even those who pretended not to see you now find themselves forced to applaud you in silence. The power of his return is so overwhelming that there is no longer any way to ignore his presence. You have become a force of nature, and they know they no longer have control over what is to come. They may wish they were by your side now, but you remember every moment they left you behind. Where were they when you fought in silence? Now, things have changed. You are at such a high level that the same people who turned their backs on you want to get closer to you, but there is no longer room for them in your new reality. Your rise was built with the strength of your own hands, without their help or approval. They wanted to erase you, but now they want to be in your light. The impact of this is reverberating in every space you occupy. The world can no longer ignore what you have become. Your every action reflects the strength you gained, the determination that brought you here. You didn't just come back, you transformed every piece of your reality, and now, the power of your presence is in everything you do. They may even try to applaud you, but you don't need that. External recognition is just a reflection of what you already knew. You went beyond all expectations, and now, your very existence is proof that no one can underestimate you anymore. The world that ignored you now wants to be part of your success. There is no longer any way to ignore the impact of your return. Those who laughed at you, who didn't believe in your potential, now find themselves face to face with your new reality. You didn't just get back into the game, you changed the rules. Your every victory, every achievement, is a reminder that the people who underestimated you made a big mistake. Now, your name is remembered, your actions are respected, and even those who criticized you can no longer deny the power you have achieved. Your rise has been so epic that now everyone has to recognize how much you exceeded expectations. They wish they were by your side now, but they know it's too late. During the time you were fighting alone, facing challenges without support, they ignored you. Now that your rise is undeniable, they try to get closer, but you are already at an unreachable level. Your strength, built on internal battles and silent overcoming, has placed you in a position of dominance. They no longer have a place in your circle. Now, you choose who will be by your side, and the impact of that leaves them speechless. The world that ignored you now recognizes you, but the game has changed, you are in control. You were always that person who, to others, didn't seem capable of going very far. At work, you might be underestimated, seen as someone who wouldn't achieve great things. Or maybe, in relationships, people thought you depended too much on others, that you couldn't be strong on your own. But now, its strength can no longer be ignored. The same people who doubted your ability are seeing how much you have evolved, how independent and determined you have become. Now, even those who didn't believe in you are having to recognize the impact of your achievements. Before, you were seen as someone who would never succeed on your own. Maybe you were told that you weren't strong enough, that you needed to change to fit other people's expectations. But things have changed. Now, the same people who criticized you for not fitting into what they expected are seeing you blossom in a way they can no longer deny. You've proven that you don't need to conform to anyone's expectations, and it's making them reconsider everything they thought about you. Their shock is real, because you have overcome everything they thought was impossible. You can no longer ignore how much you have changed. People who once saw you as someone fragile, who depended on the validation of others to move forward, now realize that you no longer need it. Where there was once insecurity, now there is firmness. Where you once sought acceptance, now you stand on your own 2 feet. They notice the difference in everything you do, from the decisions you make to the way you face challenges. What once seemed like limitations imposed by others have now been overcome, and they are seeing this clearly. You left behind the limited expectations they had for you. Maybe in the past you were seen as someone who wouldn't get very far, or who wasn't capable of making important decisions. The people around you have become accustomed to seeing you as someone who would always be one step behind. But now, you are leading your own life. You are making decisions with confidence, moving forward in areas they believed you would never be able to achieve. Now, your every action proves them wrong, and the impact of that is forcing everyone to review what they thought about you. In the past, you have been left aside by people who thought you would never be able to grow on your own. They walked away, ignored you, because they believed you wouldn't be able to move forward without their help. But now, the impact of her independence is shocking everyone around her. You got back on your feet without needing the approval or support of those who underestimated you. The same people who saw you as someone fragile now can't believe how much you've achieved on your own. And now, they are realizing that while they underestimated you, you were becoming stronger than they ever imagined. The turnaround began when no one was looking. While everyone believed you would stay in the same place, you were undergoing a silent transformation. In times when others were busy with their own lives, leaving you behind, you worked on yourself. Now, with this visible change, they are perplexed. It not only exceeded expectations, but completely destroyed them. They never imagined that you could take such a grand tour. Those who once saw you trapped in mistakes and doubts are shocked at how wrong they were. Your progress is impressive because no one expected you to go this far. People who knew you through difficult times now see that they underestimated your strength. The real transformation was not just in your achievements, but in how you changed the narrative around you. What once seemed like weakness has now become power. Your every advancement makes them rethink everything they knew about you, and they are witnessing your rise in amazement. For many, you were always someone who accepted difficulties without resistance, someone who didn't challenge their luck. They didn't realize that moments of weakness made you stronger. Now, they look at you and no longer recognize the person they knew. Your change has reversed what seemed impossible and is forcing everyone to question their beliefs about you. What's impressive about this game changer is not just the success, but the fact that you did everything without needing approval or help from others. As they went about their lives, believing you were left behind, you were silently building. The shock that his transformation brought is now inevitable. Now, you are not just someone who has risen up, but someone who has taken control. People who previously saw you stuck in mistakes now respect you, because they realize that the power you gained came from within. Whoever ignored you has to deal with the fact that you are in charge. You came back much bigger than before. Those who believe they knew who you were now realize that everything has changed. Now, you dictate the rules of your destiny, and those who underestimated you can no longer ignore your presence. Your every decision carries the weight of this transformation, and the impact of this is felt by everyone. They no longer have power over you. In the past, they may have tried to control you with opinions and judgments, but this lost strength. You've freed yourself, and now every step you take is proof that they were wrong. The power is in your hands, and they finally understand that you no longer need them to move forward. You have become more than they expected. People who left you aside now realize that you are on a different level. Your every victory is a reminder that they underestimated your ability, and now they have no choice but to watch your success. Control is now yours. Before, you might have sought approval or tried to fit in, but now you know exactly who you are and what you want. Whoever underestimated you has to accept this new reality. You didn't come back just to survive, you came back to dominate. If you like this powerful message, leave your like using the button below and subscribe to the channel to continue following content that will elevate your journey. Also share with someone who also needs to hear this message. Leave a comment below about how are you preparing for your own comeback, because you can be a source of inspiration for others who need strength on this journey. Don't miss the opportunity either to be part of our community exclusive on Discord by purchasing our ebook at the link fixed in the first comment. I'm sure he will be a valuable resource for you. Not only will it bring clarity to your mission and unique gifts, it will also give you access to connect with chosen others who will welcome you and offer you support. Don't miss out on being part of this environment. This is a crucial moment, and together we can impact many lives. Choose to be part of this mission. I am deeply grateful to everyone who has supported me on this incredible journey. If you want to continue supporting, you can do so through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is also pinned in the first pinned comment. Now, don't miss the recommended video that appears on the screen, or check out the Secrets of the Chosen playlist to understand more about the strength that exists within you. Remember, you were never meant to stay in the shadows. The world needs your light, and now, more than ever, it's time to shine. May God bless you always, and until next time.